So Beecher's Handmade Cheese started as, people ask me all the time, how did you start Beecher's? How did you come up with the idea? And it's really simply that I just really like cheese. And just kind of decided in my head that cheese might be an interesting product. I kind of did a little analysis of the local market. And I knew that people in the Seattle area really love local brands and really support local brands. And when I was thinking about cheese, it was about the year 2002. And if you'd asked anyone in this room, what is the local cheese, you would have all said Tillamook, which is in Southern Oregon, and frankly, not that great of cheese. So it's not that local, and pretty good, but not great. So I knew that there was an opportunity for cheese. And so being a good WSU grad, go Cougs, I went over to Pullman to talk to them about cheese making. And because they make cheese there, right? They make Cougar Gold. And it's not really, it's kind of a quasi school thing. It's not really a class. They don't really, they make it because they make it. I mean, it's not really even on purpose. And so I went there, talked to them about my idea to get into the artisan cheese business. And this was 2002. And they said, oh, that's a really bad idea. You should come up with a new idea because people are going out of business making cheese. They're not getting into that business. So I went home and thought about it a little longer. And then one day I was in Pike Place Market. It was like over the Christmas holidays. I was getting ready to cook a dinner party for some friends. And for me, that always meant go to Pike Place Market, get all the prawns and the beef and all the great vegetables. And I was walking back to my car and carrying all my stuff, and I saw that building. Only it was empty. It didn't say Beecher's Handmade Cheese on it. It said Seattle Garden Center, and it was for lease. And I was walking like right about where that person in the red coat is, and I looked over it, and I saw the for lease sign, and I just stopped dead in my tracks, dropped my bags, walked around, looked in it, and decided right then and there that that's where I was going to do it. I was going to make a cheese company right there. So I went back to my office. So the story of Beecher's is I got into the business backwards. I first found the place where I wanted to make the cheese. Okay? Oh, wow. And I didn't even know if it was legal to make cheese there. But so I went and then the next thing after finding the place to make it, I decided, well, what am I going to call this cheese brand? So at the time, I hadn't really had that much experience in B2C or business to consumer marketing. So I hired a branding firm, very famous branding firm, and I went in and sat in their presentation. If you haven't been through this before, what they do is they show you the 5 that they don't like first, and then here's the one we really like. And it was the big reveal, and the big reveal showed me this. It was going to be called Moo, the cheese-making company. And it was going to have a pastel logo, and it was M-O-O-O. And I said, okay, I don't really think I like that, but you guys are really smart, so I'm gonna try it on. So for like 2 weeks in 2002, I was going around telling my friends that I was not only was I starting a cheese company, but it was going to be called Moo. And, the standard reaction was, yeah, I got to get another drink. So then about 2 weeks in, we'd already hired a cheesemaker, and I was walking by his cubicle, and I heard him on the phone. And this guy was a salt of the earth guy, right? And he's on the phone, and I hear him, and he goes, hi. And he's talking to an equipment manufacturer. Hi, this is Brad from Moo. And at that moment, I just said, expletive, we're not using that name. And so I went back and changed the name to Beecher's, moved on. Beecher is my middle name. So then I went back to WSU as soon as I got the name. And at first, I imagined that I would be the cheesemaker. Okay? In case you can't tell, that's photoshopped. I imagined that I would be the cheesemaker. It was going to be great. I can cook. I can make a stew. Of course I can make cheese. How hard can it be? So I go back to WSU, and I go to what they call at the time the short course. And at that time, they weren't really teaching artisan cheese. They were teaching more kind of industrial cheese making. And so their short course was actually 3 days long. And I went with 2 people from my office, and we got there. And at the noon break, I called them together. I said, we can go now. We've learned all we're going to learn, and that's that I'm not making the cheese. Okay? The first 3 hours were so technical that I just said, there is no way. We have to go hire a cheesemaker. So we went out and hired a cheesemaker, and we decided in the end to make a cheese, Beecher's flagship. And we made this cheese on day 1, 2003. We've been making it to essentially the same recipe ever since. It is, I should have another WSU slide on here because I then went back to WSU again and said, look, I'm going to make cheese, and I've hired a cheesemaker, so I'm not following your advice. Your class didn't teach me how to make cheese. And if you'll share with me the recipe for Cougar Gold, I will give you 2% of my revenues in perpetuity. Like Gatorade did with the University of Florida, because Gatorade was from the Gators of Florida. And they said no. So we made a cheese that is very, very similar in taste to Cougar Gold, and it's frankly better. And they made a mistake, because 2% would be a lot by now. Click. Another product that happened for us is our world's best mac and cheese. And that's super fans. Yes, yay. So in the beginning, when I first opened Beecher's, I wanted it to draw people to the category. So I wanted to make a cheese that was ubiquitously likable, but clearly premium. And I wanted to take cheese out of the Friday night cheese board and right into your food, right into your home. And so in order to demonstrate that, we made grilled cheese sandwiches and mac and cheese right out of the chute. Not necessarily thinking they were going to be products. They were more demos for how to use our product. And of course, the mac and cheese kind of took on a life of its own. Click. Oh, we won a bunch of awards for our cheese right out of the chute, which was helpful. Click. And then Oprah. So people ask me, so having Oprah pick your mac and cheese for her ultimate favorite things list, was that good for business? Yeah, it was good for business. It was really good for business. We like to say Oprah was skinny before she started eating our mac and cheese. So next, we were full in Pike Place Market. The factory, little factory, was full, and so the mission for our company is to change the way America eats, and everything that we do is kind of put through that prism of how can we move the conversation forward on on changing the way America eats. The idea of making our cheese behind glass is really to start people on the thought process of how all their food is made. That's why we make it there. And so we had to make more cheese. And so, of course, in our kind of warped sense, you have to go where there's the most people, which is where there's the most expensive rent. And so we're making cheese on the corner of 20th and Broadway in Manhattan, and it's working. And we're having that conversation with so many more people because it's in New York City. Click. The next thing that's important to know about Beecher's is our Beecher's Pure Food Kids Foundation, which is kind of the point on our effort to change the way America eats. 1% of all of our revenue, which was going to be 2% going to WSU, but now 1% goes to the Beecher's Pure Food Kids Foundation. And we have a 2.5-hour piece of curriculum that we give away to fourth grade classes all over the Puget Sound area and New York City. Last year, we clicked over 90,000 kids who've been through our class. And in this class, we teach kids that food marketers can lie to them. We show them how to figure out what's really in food by using the government labels. We teach them what all those funny sounding names are and why they might want to avoid them. And then the kids work together as a team to make a vegetarian chili. And in doing so, they eat foods that they would have never eaten by themselves, like stewed tomatoes and yellow peppers and cilantro. And I hear from parents all over the region, because we've been doing this now for 10 years. I had somebody come up to me the other day and said, I have eaten that chili 90 times. My kids make it all the time. So we're very, very proud of our Beecher's Pure Food Kids Foundation. Last, I wanted to close with how do we think about what we do? How do we manage brand? Brand is really the only important thing in a company, in my opinion, and brand is really only about trust. Okay, so number one on our list is trust. In our view, you can never breach the trust. Everything that you think about, everything you talk about in your company, I try to imagine that there's a customer sitting in the room with us and that they would feel at peace with the decisions that we're making. Even if we're making a decision to raise price, they would say, yes, that's fair. You should be raising your price based on your cost. Number two, we think that everything needs to be, we try to make it all experiential. Of course, making our cheese in the middle of major metropolitan areas is a big part of that. But on top of that, when we donate things, we're always trying to give away our cheese, and we want people to experience the product. Next is we always imagine that our audience is intelligent. We want to have conversations with our customers at a level that doesn't talk down to them. We try really hard to be remarkable. And that's kind of a funny word. People don't use it in the way I'm using it, really. Have y'all heard the saying that if a dog bites a man, no one cares. But if a man bites a dog, it's pretty interesting news. And so we try to be the man biting the dog. We try to do things that are a little crazy, that are newsworthy, and that are worth remarking to someone else. And so that's what I mean about being remarkable. We try really, really hard to be consistently good. We really deeply care about the quality of the product, and we work very hard to keep it high. And then everything that we do is full flavored. I have other restaurants and some other food products. We want our flavors to be bold. We're willing to have someone think that it's too strong, but we don't want people to be bored by it. And then lastly, we think that it's really important to have a charitable and transparent element about a company. Today's consumers, especially millennials and the type of people who psychographically associate with our kind of product, are all people who want to see deep into the soul of the company that they're buying from. They don't want to just buy a product. They want to buy a philosophy. They want to buy a trust. And so for us, it's really important to be transparent and charitable. And so our identification with our own Pure Food Kids Foundation is that way of showing you who and what we are. And then lastly, here's the different brands that we have in our portfolio. And thank you very much.